Good morning, everybody. This is Lorraine.
And Jennifer?
And this morning, we're going to talk about the Big Bang Theory of business.
Is that what you call that?
Well, that in that theory, you have an occurrence, something that happened here that exploded out through the galaxy and has ripple effects everywhere. And your business has got something like that too.
Yes. So what we're talking about is when you create content and basically you start with one piece of content, blog post, and there's many ways that you can repurpose your blog post in order to make several different pieces of content so that one piece of content, the blog post, becomes several pieces of content.
Absolutely. And that blog post, and there is a reason that that piece of content starts with your blog. And that's really from an SEO perspective, that the origin point of your information needs to be your website. And then from there, you can spread that content everywhere. You can repurpose it in a lot of different and very creative ways. But the original text needs to live on your website.
Yes, absolutely. And there's different ways to do this. You write the blog post, but one thing that can come out of it is creating graphics like tips or taking out little pieces of the blog post that lead back to the blog post later, but it is different, graphics that you can use for your social media posting.
In the old days, we used to create one graphic for the blog post and then off you went. But one of the things that is very real is that people don't see your content the way they used to. Used to be if you had 1,000 followers on your page, 300 or 400 of them might see every post. Yeah, not so much anymore. Maybe 3. So you can do one of two things. You can keep sharing that same graphic, or when you create the blog post, create 5 graphics, different colors, different pull quotes. One of the things that I'm doing right now that I really like are the carousels.
Yes.
And what a carousel is it's 5 graphics or 3 graphics or however many graphics that tell the story of your blog. Now, on LinkedIn, you can save those 5 graphics as a PDF and it'll swipe through like a story. On Instagram, it'll show like a story. But on Facebook and Twitter, it won't. And so on those platforms, break it up and use 5 individual posts, one with each of those graphics. So you're not creating extra graphics, you're using the same content in different ways.
It's taking that same topic and making it into something else. I think another thing that you can do with a blog post with the content is turn it into a podcast.
Absolutely. That's really how the Marketing Minute started.
Yeah.
There was a period there, trends come and go, whatever. But Alexa had these daily updates. And if your podcast was less than a minute, you could push it into a daily update on Alexa and people could subscribe. And so I wanted to play. And I just went back through my entire blog library and started reading them as podcasts.
Yep.
And so you have this podcast, you can distribute it as a podcast, but you know what? You can embed that audio file back in the original blog.
Yep. Make that useful as well. Another one I think about is using your blog post for your email content, your email newsletter that you have every month.
Absolutely. People don't, when the people that subscribe to your email, for the most part, they don't want to read a whole long article. But if you give them little snippets, you give them a paragraph and then for more information. And the cool thing is if you have 2 or 3 of those in your newsletter, you can see which one generated enough interest where people were actually going for more information.
Because in a perfect world, you're producing multiple pieces of written content every month, blog posts, and so you'll have that. The other thing I think about is, okay, you're putting it into your email newsletter, then are you carrying it over to your LinkedIn newsletter or a
Yeah.
LinkedIn post? So you can take a blog post that you've already used and just make a post out of it, or you can actually turn it into your newsletter on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And the thing that I'm seeing with LinkedIn, quite honestly, is they like longer text posts. And
Yes.
so you're not going to get the traction back to your website. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter because you're building respect and you're building authority on the platform you want to be relevant on. Now, same thing will work on Facebook or on other platforms. LinkedIn is really, if you are B2B and you
Mhm.
want to build authority as a business to business expert, you need to be a content creator on LinkedIn.
Yep, yep, and LinkedIn is rewarding that because it's keeping people on LinkedIn, and so you may get people to read the rest of the blog post, but taking an excerpt from the blog post and not just, copy and paste, but you have to rearrange it a little bit so that it makes sense, but it's still repurposing that same content that you've already done.
And if you are in an industry where not a lot changes, and how many times can you write about basic accounting principles? But you have, over the years, you've written multiple articles. Do a roundup, do a collection. And one of the things that we did to make our collections more interesting
Mhm.
is we would actually sometimes do 4 articles on a topic, but only 3 of them would be mine.
Yep, yep,
So, and we did this with our cookbook clients for years, where we would do 3 recipes that we created for them, but then we would pull a link to a cookbook somewhere else. When you pull that other content and you include it in your collection, tag the other person. You know what? They'll reshare it.
yep, yep, then you're gonna increase your reach, so it's another great tactic to try to reuse that. Um, how about turning it into video or lives? Either way, you can create little short videos, talking about reels or
Mhm.
TikToks. Certainly take a topic that you've already done and written and make it into a reel. Or you can do a live show.
Absolutely. And the nice thing, again, I think the rule on video is very much the same as the rule on blog posts.
Mhm.
Create a long video and then pull snippets. Um, if you've got a great blog post and you have kind of the 5 bullet points you pulled out, you one of the things that I do with some of my old podcasts where there is no video and I just don't have time to re-record it and get a video made, I will do those 5 graphics and a 1-minute clip from the video. And you know what? I can animate those graphics
Yep.
and the
Yep.
audio underneath it. It's the same graphics I'm posting as static images, but now I've got a little bit of a video as well.
Yeah, we make it into an audiogram where you can see like kind of a little snippet of text out of it. So that's another way that you can do that in order to lead people back to the original piece of content that you wrote on it.
Absolutely. And so, 2 things. Number 1, you need to think about your blog as the center point. But number 2, what I want you to do, and the holidays are a great time to catch your breath and do this. Go back and read your blog. Go back and find those great articles because we all have them buried in there with 100 pieces of mediocre content. You had that one bit of really great inspiration, and dust it off, update it, add a little bit more information, add a video, add new pictures, and then start spreading it. 2 things will happen. Number 1, you'll increase the SEO value of the original post,
Correct?
and you'll have some fabulous source material that you won't have to actually write anything new.
Repurpose those blog posts.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's it for now. I hope everyone has a great week.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.